Hey, what's up everyone, it's Brad with the Hodl Fandom, and today I want to discuss the Red Skull as well as the other Captain Americas that are part of the first Marvel Mighties set. Now, some of you guys might be sort of familiar with these characters, since some have had appearances in shows and movies, but the comic book origins are much more detailed and quite a bit different. So I'll connect you to those comic legends, and then I'll touch on the value of the NFTs as I see them. Let's get into it. People may not know that there have been many characters that have held the mantle of Captain America, including Isaiah Bradley, the Punisher, Hawkeye, and even a mobster. But there are too many to mention here, and we don't have NFTs of them, so I'll focus on the 4 caps that we have. Let's start off with Steve Rogers' Captain America. He was created by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby, and made his first appearance in 1941 with Captain America Comics issue number 1. The MCU actually did a fairly accurate portrayal of his comics origin story, where a young Steve Rogers wanted to serve his country by enlisting in the army, but was rejected due to his skinny physique. He was instead able to join by being a guinea pig for Dr. Abraham Erskine, who was in charge of developing an army of super soldiers. Steve Rogers as Captain America would be an inspiring figure in the US, and would fight against the Nazis as an original member of the Invaders. On one mission, Steve and Bucky were stopping an experimental drone, and it exploded, seemingly killing Bucky, and with Steve Rogers falling into the ocean where he would be frozen. In Steve Rogers' absence, others took the mantle until 1963 in Avengers issue number 4, where Steve Rogers is found frozen by the Avengers and joins the team. He would serve as Captain America until Captain America issue number 175, where he discovers the leader of the secret empire is the President of the United States, and witnesses him kill himself rather than get captured. He loses his faith in the Stars and Stripes and retires as he no longer wants to represent what he sees as a symbol of corruption. Again, others tried to take the mantle, but they didn't last long. And in the case of Roscoe Simons, who was killed and strung up by the Red Skull, Steve Rogers took back the mantle to prevent others from suffering that fate. He was later indicted by the Commission of Superhuman Activities a few years later. The CSA wanted Rogers to work for them and represent their ideals. He did not want to compromise what he stood for, which was the American dream, striving to become all you can possibly be. So once again, he resigned rather than working for ideals and corruption he did not believe in. His replacement was John Walker. Here's some background on John Walker. He was first introduced in 1986 with Captain America issue number 323 as the Super Patriot. His origin in the comics starts off similar to the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV show, where he grew up idolizing his older brother, who was killed this time in the Vietnam War. So he joined the army as well. He never felt he reached the heights of his older brother, so out of desperation he accepted a deal with the Power Broker for superhuman enhancements. He also learned how to use the shield by Taskmaster, who has a special power to learn any skill just by witnessing it once. He is in fact stronger than Steve Rogers due to these enhancements from the Power Broker. He first took on the persona of Super Patriot and became a rival to Steve Rogers' Captain America, always trying to desperately prove that he was better. So back to when Steve Rogers retired as Captain America after the CSA incident. Steve Rogers would don a new black costume and just call himself the Captain, with the CSA appointing John Walker as his replacement. The two would fight, as it really was the Red Skull manipulating the CSA. However, Steve Rogers exposed this. Eventually, both Rogers and Walker would make amends, and the role of Captain America was given back to Rogers, and he would take back his regular costume, while John Walker took the black costume with a new name of US Agent. He would become a hero as well and would join the West Coast Avengers, but his brash behavior often led to conflicts amongst his teammates. When the West Coast Avengers broke up, he joined ForceWorks, who would help fight the Kree, the Mandarin, and a lot more. In the 2001 series US Agent, he would work for the CSA once again, but as the leader of the team to bring superhuman criminals to justice. And we last know of John Walker working as a government contractor in the 2020 US Agent miniseries. So that's John Walker. Now let's touch back to when Steve Rogers, who when he got his shield back from John Walker after exposing the CSA, he would continue to be Captain America until the first Civil War, where he was assassinated by Crossbones and a hypnotized Sharon Carter. This is when Frank Castle, aka the Punisher, attempted to take the role, but Bucky Barnes stopped him. Castle surrendered the costume to Bucky, and it was discovered that in Steve Rogers' will, he chose Bucky to be his successor. So in Captain America issue number 34, Bucky officially took the shield. Here's some background on Bucky Barnes. He was with Captain America Steve Rogers since the beginning in Captain America Comics issue number 1 in 1941. The story we are first told is that Bucky one day would walk into Steve Rogers changing into Captain America, and Steve had no other option but to become partners with him. In 2005, with the new Captain America Comics series, Bucky's early story was retconned, where this change room incident was actually staged. It was also revealed that Bucky's childhood was a bit rough, where he would always get into fights, but he would always win. He was naturally a good fighter. After losing his dad in a training accident, he would stay at a military camp, and when he turned 16, he would train in the UK for a special assignment. That assignment would end up being Captain America's sidekick. So they staged this change room scene as a marketing ploy, so Bucky would represent the regular young Americans to inspire that anyone can fight against evil. As I mentioned, when Steve Rogers was frozen, it was also believed that Bucky had perished in that plane explosion. But his body was found by Russian agents who were searching for Captain America's body. They revived and repaired Bucky, but he was still very dangerous as he was still an extremely good fighter, so they put him into stasis until he was forced into the Winter Soldier program. This is where he got his advanced metal arm and his mind program. He was their best assassin and even trained some Black Widows in the Red Room. He was eventually cured of his brainwashing by Steve Rogers using the Cosmic Cube. So that's his background, and when he took the mantle of Captain America, he made amends for the evil that he did as Winter Soldier. However, Steve Rogers eventually returned in the Captain America Reborn series, as it was revealed that the gun that Sharon Carter used actually just phased Steve Rogers out of space and time as part of a plan by Norman Osborn and the Red Skull to bring back Steve Rogers as an evil Captain America, with the Red Skull controlling his body. I know, that sounds complicated, but let me just say, in a nutshell, Steve Rogers would defeat the Red Skull, retake control of his body, and he and the rest of the Avengers would defeat the Red Skull. And of course, Steve Rogers returned as Captain America. So now we get to Sam Wilson. He first appeared in Captain America issue number 117 in 1969. He was created by Stan Lee and Gene Colan. We are given Sam's backstory in Captain America issue number 277 as a kid who grew up in Harlem. His father, a reverend, was killed trying to stop a fight, and his mother was also killed in a mugging. He would develop a persona of a character named Snap because these events made him snap whenever he got overly angry. And one day in a flight to Rio de Janeiro, it crash landed on an island taken over by a group called the Exiles, who were a group exiled by the Red Skull. The Red Skull, with the power of the Cosmic Cube, had also exiled Steve Rogers on that island, but it was actually Steve Rogers' mind in the Red Skull's body. It's a long story, but basically this Steve ended up helping Sam fight off the exiles and help the natives take back their island. Steve Rogers would eventually get his body back and beat the Red Skull, and Sam and him would be friends, good friends from here on out. Now we fast forward to after when Bucky gave back his shield to Steve Rogers in the Captain America Reborn series. With Steve Rogers as Captain America, in a battle with the Iron Nail, Steve was drained of his super soldier serum that caused him to rapidly age. He was forced to retire, and once again he chose his successor, but this time he chose Sam Wilson. Eventually, Steve Rogers had his youth restored by the Cosmic Cube, but this plan was a scheme by the Red Skull during the 2017 storyline of Secret Empire. And this really wasn't the real Steve Rogers. Long story short, this was an evil creation, and the real Steve Rogers was trapped, but would escape with the help of Bucky and would defeat the evil version of himself. Sam Wilson knew that this evil version violated the people's trust of Captain America, and Steve Rogers would need to earn that trust back. So he gave the shield back to Steve, so he could do that, and Sam would return as the Falcon. Now that you had a crash course on these Captain Americas, let's do it for the Red Skull. His real name is Johann Schmidt, and he was raised in an orphanage. He was also a beggar and a thief. Schmidt was recruited by Hitler as he saw an even darker version of himself, so he personally trained the Red Skull to become the perfect Nazi. Hitler promoted him to Gestapo chief and gave him a new identity with a Red Skull mask. The Red Skull battled his arch-nemesis Steve Rogers, Captain America, and his sidekick Bucky during World War II. During one of their battles, he was buried under a bombed building and was kept frozen by an experimental gas, kind of like how Steve Rogers was frozen in ice. The Red Skull would remain frozen until his discovery and revival by Hydra years later. He would become Supreme Hydra, their leader, and would use their resources to try to control the world and get his revenge on Captain America, or at least try to. He would steal the Cosmic Cube, but again was defeated by Captain America. He tried many times, and each time he was defeated, mostly by Steve Rogers. He would finally win a battle with a bit of help at the end of the First Civil War, as the Red Skull was the one who actually arranged Crossbones to shoot Captain America. As he entered the courtroom and with a hypnotized Sharon Carter, Steve Rogers was killed. I touched on the story earlier. It was the Red Skull that trapped Steve Rogers' body in a fixed point in space and time, and was finally killed in a fight for his body versus Steve Rogers, Sharon Carter, and the Avengers in Captain America Reborn issue number 6. Now let's touch on the value of the NFTs as I see it. There are two ways I view these sets. First, in regards to the Master Collector program, and number two, if the assets are undervalued. During the AMA a few days ago, Dan Crothers mentioned a few things about the Master Collector program, and that the sets and individual collectibles will be part of increasing your rank in the Master Collector program. Also, points will be earned retroactively, meaning that if we complete sets today, they will be included as part of your rank once the program rolls out. It's important, in my opinion, to have a higher rank because it can help get access to drops with the drop lottery. For both flippers and collectors, this is massive, as I'm sure you guys are having as hard of a time getting NFTs on drop day as I am. With that said, I'm always looking for the most cost-effective sets to complete. And the Marvel Mighty's Captain America set is about 580 gems, while the Marvel's first Captain America is about 2.6k. In fact, the Marvel Mighty's Captain America set is one of the cheapest sets to complete. That's why they are a buy in my mind. And that's why I have a full set. It's also very slowly and steadily appreciating in value. Since we're talking about Captain America, I need to also talk about the Marvel's first Captain America. I purchased a couple yesterday, both were the uncommon. The reason being is that ecomi has burned 50% of the supply of the uncommon and common. So that means the uncommon is actually more rare than the rare, while less than half the price. The uncommon will have 6k supply and is selling for 45 gems, while the rare has 8k supply and is selling at 100 gems. To me, that looks like a nice little quick flip opportunity when the markets balance that all out. So I bought 2 of the uncommons. We'll see. Anyways, this is not financial advice. I'm just telling you what I think, my analysis, and show you what I'm actually doing. Anyways, thanks everyone for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you in the next video.